after 8 years, managed to finish the book.
It took you 8 years?
No, it took me much less. It took me 8 years to get you around to accept it.
Oh.
No, I'll tell you what happened. Now, our family's romance with Mr. Mehta started way back in 1984. When I still remember the date, on 12th September 1984, he conducted the New York Philharmonic at City Fort Auditorium in New Delhi. At that time, I think the Delhiites didn't quite know what they were seeing. So I think ours was the only family backstage. And there was one other gentleman who, luckily for us, had a camera. So all of us, and the entire family posed with Mr. Mehta and Mrs. Mehta. And we went back home very, very happy with our, little flirtation with immortality with our pro Zubin. And that's when the admiration for Mr. Mehta started. I also remember meeting him in the lobby of the Ashoka Hotel, because at that time he was acting in a film on Wings of Fire by Cyrus Barucha. And we got him to sign on the poster. At that time I think it was called Dust Pigs Zakusa, then they changed the name of the film. So that was my first interaction with Mr. Mehta. And subsequently, of course, I got a job, and by the way, I'm not just a professional writer as many people think. I'm a very senior civil servant, and possibly the senior most Parsi civil servant in the country. So this is just a part-time activity which has now become a little more serious after my last book, which was Barons of Banking, Glimpses of Indian Banking History, and then this. But this was written, almost all of it was written before Barons of Banking. And I met Mr. Mehta in 2008 when he launched his own memoirs, also at the Taj. I was there at the party. Before that, I had done a little profile on him, a detailed profile on him in a book called Sugar in Milk, Lives of Eminent Parsis. And that is when I first interacted with him on eBay after a long stay. Not him, but with Natalia. So, and then I asked him a few questions, and I remember one of the...
Natalia is my assistant.
His assistant, yeah. I remember one of the first questions he asked me was, okay, but who are the other Parsis in the book? So he wanted to know, who he was sharing publishing real estate with. So I assured him that he was in the best company possible, and I think he agreed. And then we answered a few questions and a complete detailed profile, and the book was sent to Dr.
Did you put any Parsi cricketers in that book?
No, they're not that great. They're not that great. So then Dr. Hamid, who's here with us, very kindly sent the book to Mr. Mehta. And I think he bought 30 or 40 copies. He said, I want to distribute them to my...
captain of India.
Polly Umriga, yes.
He said, I want to distribute them to my Parsi friends.
But Polly and Farooq engineer was
Very contractor who lost his eyes.
Yeah, him I did know, I must say.
I really lost his
Yeah, he really lost his sight, his vision.
Yeah, so that's how it first started. And then subsequently, after his book was launched, I was there for the launch, and then I read the book. It was a very nice book. But then I thought, this is a very understated life. This man has led a far more interesting life than is being made out in his own memoirs. I hope you don't mind my saying. So I said, let's get to work on it. He may or may not agree. So I started writing it, and then I contacted him through Natalia again. And I mean, predictably he said no, because look, I just come up with my own memoirs, so I don't see what the need for another biography right now. So anyway, I persisted with my labors sporadically for about a year or two, maybe two and a half years. And I think by 2011, by the time I came back to Mumbai, the first draft of the book was nearly ready. Of course, it needed updating subsequently. And then that's where the matter lay, because then I started work on the other book, Barons of Banking. And
what's it called?
Barons of Banking. Glimpses of Indian Banking History. So, and then Mr. Keku Nicholson, who also happens to be here, was the trigger for this book, which finally happened. Triggered in the sense that somewhere in December 2014, he told me, Janechke, Zubin is coming for his 80th birthday for the 2016 concert at the Brahmans. So then something went click in my head and said, hello, a biography on one's 80th birthday is such a bad idea, so maybe he'll agree now. So then I contacted Zubin with renewed optimism, and well, this time he didn't let me down. But of course he did say, look, I don't know who you are and why are you doing this, and I need to read what you've written and things like that. So then we took it from there, and I met him. We had a long detailed interview. He was kind enough to give me an hour. That too after 6 hours of rehearsal when he came last to Mumbai. And then I started updating the book and writing it, and then we interacted. We had some long telephone conversations.
And then I had to read the book and correct it.
Yes, one of the first things Mr. Mehta told me was, look, I don't doubt your goodwill, but I don't want to have to correct everything you've written. So,
No, let's not misunderstand. I did not correct his opinionated descriptions of my life and my music making.
Just the
I had to
facts.
correct facts, dates, things like that. And there were quite a few. But I must tell you, when I went through this, the first pages of this book, the incredible research that this gentleman has done. I don't know where he got all that information from. Obviously he did, because most of it is correct. And couldn't argue with it. And he went into details of my time in Montreal with the orchestra, Los Angeles, New York. He went through all the stations, my important stations of my musical activity, especially in North America, and then in Israel, of course. And, so I take my hat off to him for the amount of research and
thank you.
Because he's a diplomat, he had the time to do it.
No, I'm not a diplomat, I'm a bureaucrat. No, unfortunately, I work for an organization which makes you work very hard, the Indian Railways. Okay. Okay. So next time you're here, I'll take you in my saloon. Huh?
really.
I came in the saloon. Yeah.
I just took my wife in Shanghai a couple of months ago on the railway that goes from Shanghai to the airport in 8 minutes.
Yeah. That's not.
It went 400 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Built by Siemens. It has no wheels.
Maglev, it's magnetic levitation.
Magnetic.
They're trying to do one from here to Ahmedabad.
No, that's a bullet train, not
Something like that.
maglev. It's a
Yeah,
bullet-
not magnetic.
It's
I don't
about
think
time you had
super
bullet
fast.
trains, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adi, why don't you sit down?
Still very fond of cricket, are you? You
Yes, and
have
I
some
hear
time to watch
the
it.
night of the Bocelli concert,
That
there's
is
an IPL game.
But you don't like T20.
And it's one of
I'm
the
not-
last
I'm
games
not a great
because,
fan.
because of drought, all the games are going out of. So it's
I heard that
one
now.
of the last
Yes.
few games.
But no, but there's only a court decision. They're gonna fight it, right?
Yeah, but I think they're letting it go. Because of
So
the,
no matches in Maharashtra?
after the first,
After the 30th.
after the 30th.
First of May.
First of May.
You know all the water specials going to Laddu? I'm sending them.
By train.
Yeah,
Is that-
they're going by tank wagons from Meerut, station called Meerut.
Mira.
They're going from my division.
We stopped
So
watering our ground.
I was fearing that I would be called back, I wouldn't be able to attend this concept,
But
this
Meerut, where are you
conference.
getting
So how
water
will
in
it,
Meerut?
We have our.
It's
No
special
ground, it's
needs.
going to become brown.
The banks of
Is it?
Krishna, yeah, there's a Krishna river.
And we're going to
So what's up,
redo
more
it
questions from
whenever
the
there's
press?
enough water or
What
rain.
about the state of music in India? Do you find that there is more interest in Western classical or still?
In the main cities, yes. Chennai, we played last year with the Australian Orchestra. They couldn't, I mean, the hall was too small. There was such interest and such enthusiasm also. Delhi, I must say, I was surprised. There's no hall in Delhi, which is a shame. It's a scandal that the nation's capital, this nation that is supposed to be doing so well, that cannot afford to build a hall, not for Western classical music in Delhi, but for music, for natak, for whatever they want. There is no hall in Delhi, and I've spoken to the president, who agrees. I've spoken to members of parliament who agree. I spoke to the last minister of culture, a wonderful lady, I forgot her name, in the other government. They all agree that Delhi should have a concert hall, and nobody is doing anything about it.
So you've never had a concert in Delhi or
No,
you've
you
had?
had.
Yeah, Siri Fort, he said, in '84. And now, this wonderful manager, music manager in Delhi, Michael Menezes, he converted a weightlifting arena into a concert hall
Yeah.
next to Nehru Stadium.
The Indira Gandhi, yeah.
He built, a stage. He built tribunes where the audience sat elevated, and it sounded very good, I must say. But that's an improvisation for 2 evenings. So I think we should do something in Delhi. That there's hall. Also in Calcutta, there's nothing. We usually play there at the Bose Stadium, which is also an improvisation, and everything has to be amplified. the classical music doesn't fare well in an indoor stadium with amplification. It's not good. Outdoors, you can't touch it.
You were saying that in Shanghai alone there are 5 orchestras.
China is exploding, culturally speaking. When we went in '94, Shanghai had one concert hall of 600 people. Now they have at least 4 or 5 concert halls, and they are building their second opera house. I frankly don't understand why they need a second opera house. But they're building it. Whether there's an ego or whether there's a government who doesn't know what to do with their money, but they're building it. And hats off.
Every city in China has a concert hall.
Yeah,
In
everywhere.
China
So they've taken
So
the Western
New
classical
Delhi.
music in a big way.
should be given it consideration.
Why is China giving it that much priority?
Well, there's an explosion of love for Western classical music. Because it's not only when I go, you know, the whole world's musicians are going to China on a monthly basis, and they're playing full house. And young people attend those concerts. And I must tell you, they charge very much for tickets. $300, $400 a ticket they charge. Which in Japan, we got used to it. But in China, it's something new. We went to a city with the Israel Philharmonic called Changsha. Who's heard of Changsha? There's only 5 million people. But on the banks of the river, they have built an ultra-modern conglomerate of a concert hall, a library, and a museum. Same architect, beautifully constructed. Just eye-opening. So, you want to know something else about the book?
I would like to ask,
Yeah.
request Mr. Mehta and Bhakta to please release the book.
What is that?
It's a book I'm releasing.
You want me to open it?
Yes, please.
Uh-huh. Somebody call on?
You should not stick books like this. You should have a little bigger to this one.
No, it's fine.
Secretary, please stand up. Sir, if you can. Yeah, thank you. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Sir.
The book will be available in Bombay,
Everywhere.
in India,
Everywhere in India, maybe abroad as well. Under their international rights, I
No,
don't know.
not international, but in India it will be available in all bookstores and on online portals on Amazon and
and
Flipkart.
abroad,
And subsequently.
So abroad, I think we'll have some international.
through Amazon.
Through Amazon, but I mean, this is something that we are like yet put, because today is the market release date. So today we are releasing the stock in the market as well. So that's why we are.
They'll have to sell the book to
Yeah.
publishers abroad and then let them, that's how the whole thing works. So it's a slightly lengthy process.
But it's a supply chain thingy that needs to be.
She was born after me in the same house on Kafpari. And Yuko and I played cricket in our garden and broke her grandfather's windows.
That's
Her grandfather was a knighted chartered accountant.
Billiboria.
So Sapuji Vilimaya.
William Moria and Company Chartered Accountants, that was her grandfather.
You see much Indian talent coming up in Western classical music?
Well, this is what we hope from our school. Inherent talent there is. They have to be coached, nurtured, and taught with the best possible teachers. I just heard this morning that we are getting 2 teachers from Russia, which is the best violin school there is today. I have a Japanese young lady who's been here for 3 years now. She goes into the slum areas, teaches underdeveloped neighborhoods also. So a lot of really good work is being done. I'm very happy about that.
In the West, do you find a lot of Indians who are in classical music?
In England, yes, there are a few playing in English orchestras. In America, too, a few. And of course, I try to help from outside whenever I can. My birthday concert, which will be on the 29th of April in Vienna, the proceeds of that concert will be divided into 3 ways. First is the Amnesty International. Second, my friend Daniel Barenboim's, he has a foundation called the Barenboim Saeed Foundation, for which
named after Edward Said.
the Divan Orchestra has sprung up. Divan Orchestra made out of Arabs and Jews. And the third portion will come to our foundation in Bombay.
So you're going to tell us a little bit about the book.
Well, I read it once through with my corrections, and as I said, there's such a lot of details I learnt myself that I had forgotten about. You know, he mentions every tour and every city of what tour and what I played, and so if you ask me what tour I did in 1972, I could tell you maybe the cities, but not programs, etc. So, it's, for those who are interested in such details, it's an encyclopedia.
So could you tell us about the research of the book?
Okay. You know, one of the things which I was, maybe I can ask Mr. Mehta now. I've always wondered why there weren't many more books written on him. There was an early biography by Martin Bookspan and Ross Yockey that came out in 1978. And after that, there was a huge big hiatus, and there were his memoirs. And then there's this small contribution of mine. So I often wonder, did you prevent people from writing, or did you scare them off?
You know, I can't even remember. People have asked, and I've sort of declined.
So I'm
But
glad
nobody
I'm
went
glad I
really-
persisted.
Nobody was as persistent as you. let's say.
So patience is always rewarded.
Yes, it
So
was.
anyway, so then as I said, I came back, and then I have a cousin of mine in the States, and he's also called Zubin. He's Zubin Ditya, and so he sent me a whole bunch of books from the States, which he bought on Amazon, and one of them was this early biography of Zubin, which I used in my profile in Sugar and Milk, and that I drew a lot of information from that. Then there are countless number of articles online about Mr. Mehta. I mean, there must be thousands of them, and I think I have accessed maybe more than 1,000. Right from the time when his name appeared in Time magazine in 1958, when he won the international Liverpool competition, that was when the name came, and that from that time onwards, I've been tracking him from the online archives. So it's Time magazine, Newsweek, Los Angeles Times, New York Times, Washington Post, a whole host of Israeli newspapers.
And he really quotes the New York Times a lot.
Well, we'll come to that.
They are
We'll come-
mostly all negative. Oh, he does let me off for a little bit. But I didn't stop him.
Yeah, to his credit, I mean, but then he realized, I told him that, Mr. Mehta, this is not going to be a hagiography, it's going to be a very balanced account. So and he agreed to his credit, and I mean, he's an international celebrity for the last 60 years, so I think a criticism here and there is not going to make a difference to him. It hasn't, because he faced a lot of flack in New York, and I asked him about it, and there was one particular critic first in Los Angeles called Martin Bernheimer, and he told me that, I said, was there any personal animus involved, because this chap really got after you? So he said, yes. I mean, I don't know, because I thought our first meeting went very well, but then Mrs. Dorothy Chandler, who was the grand dame of Los Angeles culture there, she rang him up and said, why did you treat that music critic so badly? So Mr. Mehta responded, said, but we had a very nice time, I thought it was a very pleasant meeting. He says, no, but you didn't ask him to stay for lunch. So apparently he took what was a slight very badly and very personally, and said, okay, I mean, I don't know why, I mean, he didn't ask me to stay for lunch. So I don't know if that was the only reason, but that's what
But
Mr.
the
Mehta told
principle
me.
of mine, I've never had lunch with a music critic. You don't do that. You know, the freedom of the press has to be allowed to reign freely. You cannot take them for lunch.
but subsequently, in New York, I don't know.
Is it a
Maybe
hint
you can
that
tell me.
all of them want you for lunch?
But did you go back to friends and family during research?
No, you see
or
now,
it was more-
unfortunately, for a book of this kind, I would have liked to go to all the places he's been. I never went anywhere. Obviously, I have my constraints,
Yes.
both
She
of
wants to
time
know about
and-
family.
No, did
No,
you
there's no family
talk
to go
to
back.
people like?
I spoke to a
or-
couple of people who knew him here, like
Okay.
Dr. Hamid and a couple of other, her mother, who knew him well as a child. But not too many, no. And then I corresponded with a few people on email as well. Ajit Hathi Singh was one of them. He was his childhood friend, that is Krishna Hathi Singh's son. And then there was, of course, Cyrus Bharucha, who directed him on Wings of Fire. Luckily, I'm based in Pune now, and he's a good friend of mine, so we are in Pune together. So we often go out. So he was supposed to come for the press conference, unfortunately, couldn't make it.
Did you mention that my great grandfather built the railway from Pune to Dharwad?
But you never told me that.
You're a railway man.
But you never told me that.
Yeah.
And tell them.
How is that middle gauge?
Yeah, the meter gauge.
Meter gauge.
Okay.
And we used to ride that train because a lot of my relatives lived in Hubli, and we would go from
They live in
Bombay.
Hubli.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hubli, Belgaum, and Dharwad is a sort of a triangle.
Belgaum is now Belgavi and Hubli is now Hubbali.
Oh, I
And
see.
Bangalore is now Bengaluru. So we do things with names.
And how can you get went to Mauritius on shoulder?
Yeah, Mauritius was my
Okay.
grandfather's brother. One of my grandfather's brothers went to Mauritius and became a trader there. And before George V, I mean, that shouldn't be in the book.
No, it's not.
Before George V came for the Darbar in 1911, he stopped in Mauritius with the ship on the way. And this great uncle seems to have met him there or supplied the catering for George V. Yes.
Why
How long
the
did-
facts? Why the facts that you thought you wanted to correct in his account?
Let me tell you, there weren't so many. There weren't so many. Come on, let's face it, there weren't so many. A couple of corrections here and there, but not so many. Otherwise, the book wouldn't have been done.
Were there other disagreements?
No, I couldn't disagree because he stated facts. You know, he quotes newspaper articles, positive and negative. So this, I agreed from the beginning. If it's a truthful book, you have to portray everything.
How long did it take to write your own memoirs with The Score of My Life?
For instance, he wrote that the Queen of Spain won the Olympic gold medal for
Ah, that
sailing.
was a blue point.
Yes, I corrected. It was her brother.
But that I got from some magazine, so I
But
know
it was wrong.
you sued the
Never.
editor of the magazine.
So,
Yeah, how long did it take to write your own memoirs and how did you take time out within concerts and rehearsals?
mine?
Yeah, your own. The Score of My Life.
Well, that was in 2006 when I finished my 8-year hiatus in Munich as the opera music director, and a German publisher asked me to write about my time in Munich. That became a sort of a autobiography, which I dictated to a lady in German. And I mean, she corrected my German, let's say. They are my words, but transliterated by this lady who converted it to literature. I couldn't have done German literature in that sense.
Indeed.
It came out in 6. The English one came out in
2006.
2008.
Then it was translated in few languages.
So what about, sorry, do you want to go ahead? Yeah. Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about the relationship that you share with Bombay? Over the years you keep coming back and you're here for your 80th.
It's like it's really like I never left.
Wow.
Every time I come. Also, every time I come, I get frustrated to see this condition of the city. No doubt. No doubt. I mean, we lived in a part in South Bombay, which is a quiet nook. It was heavenly, living on Cuff Parade and seeing hundreds of people going for walks in the evening, and when in the monsoon, they would run away, they would come to our house to hide from the rain. It was just a lovely way we grew up. That's all gone. It's not. I mean, our houses are still there. Not very well maintained, I must say. The 4 houses on Cuff Parade, of which ours was one, and we were part of one house. We didn't own the house. Should have been some sort of monuments, because architecturally they were very special, those 4 houses. Only 2 are left now. So I can't respect the government of Bombay to let those kind of things happen. Government house still looks the same from a distance, I must say. Maybe that hasn't changed.
No, the inside.
And my father used to give concerts there, so I knew government house quite well. Depending on the governor. One Englishman loved music, one Englishman didn't. My father also played for incoming viceroys. They would usually land by boat in Bombay, and there would be a concert. One was called Linlithgow, Lord Linlithgow.
Anything specific about your forthcoming Mumbai concert at the Brabant and?
Well, we have, world-class soloists with us who are completely lending their services. This Russian pianist is making a sensation all over the world now, Denis Matsuyev. He just played with me last week in Tel Aviv. And Pinkas Sukaman, who has been like my younger brother for the last 50 years, and his wife, he will play solo and she will play with him also. And then there is Andrea Bocelli, really one of the great singers of the world. And I've done a lot of work with him, especially recently. I've recorded 2 operas with him, Aida of Verdi and Turandot of Puccini. And he has charities that I conduct for, so I asked him to come here. So he's also lending his services. And I think we've sold quite a lot of tickets.
But they all sold out.
I think they're all gone, sold.
What is all gone in the Brabourne Stadium?
8,000.
5,000.
No, they're not, they're very few left.
8,000, good enough.
Yeah, a few random.
But Jasti Kursi ka
I'm trying to get in members to see it from one other side.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
The last time,
Shouldn't deny anyone.
But should
The last
members
time we
then,
came
will
to
they be
class
in the
ago-
stand?
Yes, we're having stand also, and some members who can't get into that, we're having 2 giant screens. And they're
That's
gonna
good.
sit in the lawn and they're gonna have their whiskey or whatever, beverages and be able to. That's what they expect, because now it's become the way over there on the lawn.
Really?
Yeah,
But I hope we don't hear the clinking glasses. Huh?
yeah.
This is more disturbing than you
Yeah,
think.
yeah. No, they don't want clink it.
Like the
They'll be
crunching,
completely
Plastic
mesmerized.
like the
by
crunching,
concert.
like the crunching of peanuts when he played in Delhi many years ago. The politician sat in front and ate Mughalli and went cutter, cutter, cutter. Do you remember that?
But my wife was so shocked when we played in Beijing. Sometimes we play in this great hall of the people, where the Congress meets. There's 10,000 public sitting there, and they bring their sandwiches and they're sending SMS.
That's true.
So she was quite shocked, all around her, babies. But that's the Chinese way in a sort of a big stadium-like hall. It's just the worst acoustic.
How do you not get how do you not get bothered when so much of this?
Well, I don't feel that on stage that much, if they are munching on sandwiches. Well, we don't do that.
Why is this book special now that it's getting released on your 80th birthday? Or on the cusp of your 80th birthday?
Well, I couldn't have dreamed that this book would even exist until last year when Mr. Dadaway reached me. And then, as he said, I cooperated with him. I sat down, talked to him, and we spoke many times on the phone.
Yeah, long
Also.
conversations.
Yeah.
What made you select Amnesty as one of the places for your largest?
Amnesty International approached us if we would do something. So, talking with the Vienna Philharmonic, we came up with this idea to give them a third of the proceeds. And Daniel Barenboim, who is my soloist at the concert, gives his foundation and ours.
Have you been active in these issues of which Amnesty takes up? Have you?
Not Amnesty too much, no.
which are the other ones that you have taken up? But you took it up for the Palestinians also, I think, in Israel.
Well, Israel is still a democracy. Some people wouldn't admit it, but it is still in that area of the world. And therefore, my voice and my opinion, I voice freely, which probably I couldn't do if I were in Syria or somewhere else. But I openly challenge their policy of settlements and the basic quality of the government satisfied with the status quo. In other words, they're quite willing to let things go on simmering all the time, not taking the issue at hand, not taking an initiative. And so I criticize that very thing. And 2 years ago, I gave an interview on the television for over an hour where I didn't speak about music. And Shimon Peres phoned me an hour later. He says, "Thank God you can say things I cannot." Because he was president of Israel in those days.
You had a long association with the Israel Philharmonic Orchestra, and
Yes.
you're bringing them down this year
Yes.
for this service. Can you tell us something about
47 years now.
Yeah. Yeah. What makes them so special? Like they're from different countries, and
Well, I went there by chance in 1961, substituting for a very great conductor who was sick, and they called me back. Every young conductor gets a chance to jump in at some point for somebody ailing, but doesn't make. It's not necessary that you get called back. If the orchestra doesn't like you, they say thank you very much for saving the situation, and that's it. But they called me back in '63, etc., etc. And by '69, they offered me the music directorship. And I've grown up with that country and and the orchestra, etc. And today, every single member of the orchestra has been picked by me. So it's sort of an ideal situation. And what helped very much in the 1980s was the influx of immigrants from the Soviet Union. They came, on a monthly basis. And we have auditions behind curtains, so we don't know who's playing. Nationality, man, woman, nothing. And always it was, in those days, a member of the Soviet Union who won the auditions because they were technically so endowed. Because even in the communist times, art was treated as a very important factor.
You have performed in a lot of conflict areas, war-torn conflict areas, and last there was Kashmir also. So what about these conflict areas draws you to?
Well, I don't make my career only by playing in conflict
Yeah, of course
areas.
not.
No,
But you don't shy
I wish I
away
could
from
do more,
doing
is
that.
my point. I don't do enough. Once in a while we went to Sarajevo or to Kashmir or etc. But we don't do enough, I don't think. Because you cannot underestimate the power of music in such cases. In Sarajevo, we had rehearsals in the opera house. It was one of the few things that the Serbs had not bombed. Because they bombed this Muslim library, and the concert took place in the courtyard, in the ruins of the Muslim library, so there couldn't be any public sitting there. So we rehearsed in the opera house with a full house, and we discovered it was a piece by Mozart for orchestra and chorus. Most of the chorus had been killed in the wars. The devastation of Bosnia is, even when you read it today, it's quite unbelievable. And we brought musicians from Croatia and from Slovenia, because the orchestra in Bosnia, in Sarajevo, was decimated. And we gave this concert, which was then broadcast by the United Nations to collect money for their refugee fund, etc. And the concert in Kashmir also, it came from my heart, because I feel I do so much in the Middle East, etc., but not in my own country. And thanks to friends like Dr. Hamid, who made it financially possible, because to go and play somewhere for free costs a lot of money. So the German embassy was very helpful in arranging. He got Lufthansa to give us a rate, got German companies to help, etc. So although there was a lot of garbar in Kashmir by the separatists who just did not want the concert to take place, but we did it with the blessing of the Kashmiri government. Indian government was very fair also. I mean, the blossoming of those Jahangir gardens, it's a gift to the city. It was in ruins. And every chinar tree was blue. And the gardens and the fountains were, but it cost money, and it thanks to our friends.
Tell them about how good the Kashmiri orchestra is.
Yeah, and then we played with Kashmiri musicians also in the beginning. Yeah, and that our musicians from Munich, they love that. They love playing with the Kashmiri musicians, looking at all the various instruments, etc. And in the end, 70% of Kashmiris watched that concert on television. Because the park was small, we let in everybody that wanted to, but it was about 1,200, 2,000 people. We couldn't let in everybody, there was no place. But they watched it on television in spite of the fact that the separatists, closed shops, didn't want the concert to take place, etc. So it was worth it. Now, I think we have to go. God bless. Bye.
Is there any feedback that you want for the book? Because I'm sure Mr. Mehta voted for us too.
Just finish the book. Yeah, please. Thank you. Hold the book a bit up. Thank you.
Sir, right over here, sir. Stay here.
Okay, how we do our I signed a lot of
क्रिकेट क्लब में
मरी हो चुकी है और चोरवा ने पहले
I didn't know you wanted to
75.
So
400075. 400075.
You're Danish.
No, I'm absolutely. Still love the same food.
Sina is okay?
Yes, sir.
Tears in my eyes.
No idea.
So one of them, please.
I'll tell you.
Your memoirs. Okay.